The morning sun peeked through the blinds of the small apartment as Lily rolled out of bed. Another day, another shift at Golden Sunrise Diner. She glanced at the framed photo of her mother on the nightstand and smiled. "Today's going to be a good one, Mom," she whispered, a ritual she had kept up since her mother's passing 3 years ago. Lily had been working at the diner for 5 years now. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills, and she genuinely enjoyed connecting with the regulars who came in day after day for their morning coffee or afternoon pie. The diner sat on the corner of Main Street and Oak Avenue, its neon sign a beacon in their small town of Riverdale. As she pulled on her light blue uniform and tied her dark hair into a neat ponytail, Lily thought about the changes that had swept through the diner in recent months. Sunrise Restaurants, Inc., a big national chain, had bought the once family-owned establishment. The takeover had brought fancy new menus, strict rules, and a cold corporate feeling that seemed at odds with the diner's warm history. New day, same smile, Lily told her reflection in the mirror, practicing the genuine grin that had earned her the highest tip average among the waitstaff. No matter what changes came, she refused to let it affect how she treated people. The walk to work took exactly 12 minutes. Lily knew every crack in the sidewalk, every neighbor's garden, and which houses had dogs that would bark as she passed. Today, Mrs. Gonzalez was watering her prize-winning roses. "Good morning, Lily. Beautiful day, isn't it?" the elderly woman called out. "The best kind, Mrs. Gonzalez. Those roses are looking gorgeous," Lily replied, pausing briefly to admire the vibrant blooms. "I'll bring you some for your apartment later this week," Mrs. Gonzalez promised with a wave. These small interactions fueled Lily's spirit. In a world that sometimes felt like it was moving too fast, these moments of connection reminded her why she loved her simple life. The diner was already bustling when she arrived. The morning rush was in full swing, with her coworker Tina looking overwhelmed at the register. "Thank goodness you're here," Tina sighed in relief. "Table 7 has been waiting for refills for 10 minutes, and I haven't even had time to wipe down the counter." "I've got it," Lily assured her, slipping her apron over her head and tying it with practiced ease. "How's the new manager today?" Tina rolled her eyes. "Dale's been in the office all morning going over the numbers. He keeps talking about optimization and resource allocation. I miss when Mr. Rivera ran this place." Mr. Rivera had owned Golden Sunrise for 30 years before the buyout. He knew every customer by name and treated his staff like family. The contrast between his leadership and the corporate approach couldn't have been more stark. "Well, we just keep doing what we do best," Lily said, grabbing a coffee pot. "Taking care of our people." The morning flew by in a flurry of pancake orders, coffee refills, and friendly chatter. Lily moved between tables with an ease born of years of practice, remembering exactly how each regular liked their eggs and which customers preferred extra napkins. "Here you go, Mr. Peterson," she said, placing a plate of scrambled eggs and wheat toast in front of an elderly man who came in every Tuesday and Thursday. "And I put the jam on the side just how you like it." The old man's face lit up. "You're an angel, Lily. The only person in town who remembers I can't mix my foods." "It's my pleasure," she replied, meaning it. These small details mattered. They were what made people feel seen and valued. Around noon, Dale emerged from the office, clipboard in hand. He was new to the position, transferred from another Sunrise location across the state. In his pressed shirt and tie, he looked out of place among the casual comfort of the diner. "Lily, can I speak with you for a moment?" he asked, his voice carrying the clipped tones of someone perpetually in a hurry. "Of course," she replied, quickly delivering a club sandwich to table 3 before following him to the corner of the dining area. "Corporate sent over new guidelines yesterday," Dale explained, showing her a laminated card. "All staff need to use these exact greeting phrases when customers arrive. Also, we're implementing a new upselling strategy. Every ticket needs to include at least one add-on item." Lily glanced at the card with its scripted greetings that sounded nothing like natural conversation. "I understand the need for consistency," she said carefully, "but our customers appreciate the personal touch. Some of them have been coming here for decades." Dale's expression remained unmoved. "The personal touch doesn't increase quarterly profits, Lily. These are the new standards. Everyone follows them or they find somewhere else to work." The threat wasn't subtle, but Lily just nodded and tucked the card into her apron pocket. "I'll do my best," she promised, though she had no intention of treating her regulars like strangers. The afternoon brought a lull, as it always did between lunch and dinner. Lily took the opportunity to refill salt shakers and wipe down menus. Through the front window, she watched as rain clouds gathered, promising an evening shower. "Looks like we're in for some weather," commented Cook Joe from the kitchen window. Joe had been at the diner even longer than Lily, his hands creating the comfort food that kept customers coming back. "Good thing I brought my umbrella," Lily replied, tapping the handle that poked out from her bag under the counter. The bell above the door jingled, and Lily turned to see a new face enter the diner. A woman in her 30s with tired eyes and rain-dampened clothes slipped into a booth by the window. Something about her demeanor, the slight hunch of her shoulders, the way she kept her head down, told Lily that she was having a rough day. Grabbing a menu and a glass of water, Lily approached with a warm smile. "Welcome to Golden Sunrise," she said, skipping the corporate greeting entirely. "Looks like you beat the rain just in time." The woman glanced up, a flicker of surprise crossing her face at the friendly welcome. "Just barely," she replied with a small smile. "Can I start you with something to drink? Our coffee is fresh, or we have some amazing homemade lemonade if you're looking for something cool." "Coffee would be wonderful, thank you," the woman said. "It's been one of those days." Lily nodded sympathetically. "I know those days well. Cream and sugar? Black is fine." As Lily turned to get the coffee, she noticed Dale watching her from near the register. His eyes narrowed slightly. She pretended not to notice. When she returned with the steaming mug, the woman was staring out the window, lost in thought. "Here you are," Lily said, setting down the coffee. "Have you had a chance to look at the menu?" The woman shook her head. "To be honest, I'm just taking a break from the rain and a bad job interview. I'm not sure I can afford more than this coffee right now." Something in her voice resonated with Lily. She remembered being in that exact position years ago, when she'd first moved to town with nothing but hope and a nearly empty wallet. "The coffee comes with a complimentary muffin," Lily said, making a quick decision. "Baker's special today. Let me grab you one." There was no such policy, of course, but Lily knew she could cover the cost if needed. She hurried to the display case and selected a blueberry muffin, warming it slightly before bringing it to the table. "I didn't order this," the woman said, looking confused when Lily placed the muffin before her. "Trust me, our baker will be offended if you don't try it." Lily winked. "It's on the house." The woman's eyes welled up slightly. "Thank you. That's the first kind thing that's happened all day." Lily chatted with her for a few minutes, learning that her name was Violet, and she had recently moved to town, hoping for a fresh start. Before returning to her other duties, Lily jotted down the address of a shop that she knew was hiring. "My friend works there," she explained, sliding the note across the table. "Tell them Lily sent you. They're good people." The genuine gratitude in Violet's eyes was worth more than any tip could ever be. The rest of the shift continued smoothly, though Lily couldn't shake the feeling that Dale was watching her more closely than usual. When the dinner rush hit, she focused on keeping her tables happy, making sure orders came out hot and drinks stayed filled. By closing time, the rain was coming down in sheets. Lily counted her tips at the counter, pleased with the day's earnings despite the tense atmosphere. "Lily, before you go," Dale called as she gathered her things, "I need to review tomorrow's schedule with you." Something in his tone made her pause. The other staff members exchanged glances, quickly finishing their closing tasks. Little did Lily know tomorrow would change everything. The simple kindness she had shown to a stranger would set in motion events that would transform her life at Golden Sunrise Diner forever. The next morning arrived with clearing skies and a fresh crispness to the air. Lily woke up earlier than usual, feeling strangely nervous about her meeting with Dale. Something about his tone yesterday had left her uneasy, but she pushed the worry aside. She had done nothing wrong, except maybe give away a muffin, but she had slipped $3 into the register to cover it. As she walked to work, Lily noticed a sleek black car parked outside the diner. It stood out in their small town where most people drove older models. Curious, she quickened her pace. The bell jingled as she entered, and she was surprised to find the diner nearly empty. Normally, Pete the mailman would be having his breakfast by now, and the table of retirees who called themselves the Sunrise Club would be sharing stories over coffee. "Morning, Tina," Lily called. spotting her coworker wiping down an already clean counter with unusual intensity. Tina glanced up, her eyes wide. "Lily, there you are. Dale's been asking when you'd arrive." "I'm 15 minutes early," Lily said, checking her watch with a frown. "I know, but—" Tina leaned closer, lowering her voice. "There's someone with him. Some woman in a fancy suit. They've been in the office all morning with the door closed." Before Lily could ask more questions, Dale emerged from the back office. Following behind him was the woman from yesterday, Violet. Only she looked completely different. Gone were the rain-dampened clothes and tired eyes. Today she wore a tailored business suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun, and carried herself with unmistakable authority. "Lily, perfect timing," Dale said, his voice overly cheerful. "Could you join us in the office, please?" Confused, Lily followed them, catching Tina's worried glance as she passed. The office was small, with barely enough room for the desk and 3 chairs. Photographs of the founder of Sunrise Restaurants Inc. hung on the wall, alongside framed corporate mission statements. "Please sit," Violet said, gesturing to a chair as she settled behind the desk. Dale's desk. Lily sat, her mind racing. What was going on? Why was yesterday's down-on-her-luck customer suddenly acting like she owned the place? As if reading her thoughts, Violet smiled. "I believe we need to properly introduce ourselves. My name is Violet Chen, Executive Vice President of Operations for Sunrise Restaurants Inc." The revelation hit Lily like a splash of cold water. The woman she had felt sorry for, the one she had given a free muffin to and tried to help find a job, was actually a high-ranking executive from corporate headquarters. "You were—" Lily began, trying to make sense of it. "Undercover, yes," Violet confirmed. "We do periodic assessments of our locations. I visit as a regular customer, sometimes as someone who can't afford much, to see how our staff treats people across the economic spectrum." Dale stood rigidly by the door, his face a mask of professionalism, but Lily could see tension in his jaw. "I don't understand," Lily said. "Why are you telling me this?" Violet folded her hands on the desk. "Because what I witnessed yesterday was both the best and worst of what our company can be." She pulled out a tablet and tapped the screen. "According to our records, Golden Sunrise has seen a 15% decrease in regular customers since the corporate takeover. Profits are up due to price increases and cost cutting, but customer loyalty is down significantly." Lily wasn't surprised. The changes had been driving away the locals who had been coming to the diner for years. "Then I came in yesterday," Violet continued, "and I experienced something remarkable. You, Lily, treated me with genuine kindness. Not the scripted kind we train people to perform, but real human connection." She smiled warmly. "You noticed I was having a rough day. You bent the rules to offer comfort. You even tried to help me find a job." Lily felt her cheeks flush. Anyone would have done the same. "That's where you're wrong," Violet said, glancing briefly at Dale. "Most people wouldn't risk their job to help a stranger. But you did, and that's exactly the kind of spirit this company was founded on 50 years ago. Before we lost our way in quarterly reports and standardization metrics." Dale cleared his throat. "Ms. Chen, if I may—" "Actually, Dale, I'd like a moment alone with Lily," Violet interrupted smoothly. "Would you mind checking on the breakfast preparation? I understand there's a special on pancakes today." The dismissal was clear. Dale's face tightened, but he nodded and left, closing the door behind him. Once they were alone, Violet's professional demeanor softened slightly. "I apologize for the deception, but it's necessary to see how things really operate when management isn't watching." "So am I in trouble for the muffin?" Lily asked, deciding to address the elephant in the room. Violet actually laughed. "No, you're not in trouble for the muffin. In fact, that small act of kindness is exactly what I want to talk to you about." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the gradually filling diner. "Do you know what the original motto of Sunrise Restaurants was before we became a major corporation?" Lily shook her head. "Good food served with heart," Violet quoted. Simple, right? But powerful. The founder believed that a meal served with genuine care tasted better than the fanciest cuisine served coldly. She turned back to face Lily. "We've lost that somewhere along the way. We've replaced heart with efficiency, connection with scripts." "That's what I've been trying to tell Dale," Lily said, feeling bold enough to speak freely. "Our customers don't want to be upsold or greeted with the same phrase every time. They want to feel at home." "Exactly," Violet agreed, returning to her seat. And that's why I'm here. This location is at a crossroads. Despite the profit margins looking decent on paper, the decreasing customer base is concerning. If that trend continues, we'll eventually have to close. Lily felt a pang in her chest at the thought of Golden Sunrise closing. Despite the corporate changes, it was still the heart of the community. We need to make changes, Violet continued, but not the kind Dale has been implementing. There was a knock at the door and Dale entered without waiting for a response. The kitchen is running smoothly, he reported. Now about Lily's violation of company policy. That's what I wanted to discuss, Violet cut in. Dale, you've been managing this location for 3 months now, correct? He nodded stiffly. Yes, and I've increased profit margins by 8%. While losing regular customers and receiving the lowest staff satisfaction scores in the region, Violet added, her voice pleasant but firm. Your focus has been exclusively on the numbers at the expense of what makes a restaurant successful in the long term. Returning customers who feel valued. Dale's expression darkened. I followed every corporate guideline to the letter. That's the problem, Violet replied. This business isn't just about following guidelines. It's about understanding the community you serve. She turned to Lily. Tell me, what would you do differently if you were managing this diner? The question caught Lily off guard. She glanced at Dale, whose face had turned an alarming shade of red, then back to Violet. Well, I'd start by bringing back some of Mr. Rivera's old specials. The locals miss them, and I'd give the staff more flexibility to connect with customers in their own way, instead of reading from a script. Go on, Violet encouraged, warming to the subject. Lily continued. I'd create a loyalty program for our regulars, maybe a free slice of pie after 10 visits. And I'd bring back community board game night on Thursdays. It didn't cost much to run, but it packed the place and created a real sense of belonging. Violet nodded, looking pleased. Those are exactly the kind of ideas we need. She turned to Dale. This is what I was talking about in our regional meeting last month. Numbers matter, but not at the expense of the human element. Dale's jaw tightened. With all due respect, Ms. Chen, these folksy ideas might sound nice, but they don't translate to the bottom line. Actually, they do, Violet countered. Our most profitable locations are the ones that balance efficiency with genuine community connection. Locations run exactly like you've been running this one consistently fail within 2 years. The tension in the small office was thick enough to cut with a knife. Lily felt caught in the middle of a corporate battle she hadn't signed up for. So what happens now? She asked quietly. Violet's expression softened as she looked at Lily. That depends on you. I came here to evaluate not just the management, but the potential in this location. What I found was a staff member who embodies everything our company should stand for, working under management that has lost sight of our core values. She stood up, smoothing her jacket. Lily, I'd like you to come back tomorrow morning at 9. We have some important matters to discuss about the future of Golden Sunrise Diner. With that cryptic statement, Violet nodded to them both and walked out of the office, leaving Lily and Dale in stunned silence. As the day progressed, Lily could feel Dale's eyes boring into her back as she worked her shift. The other staff whispered among themselves, having noticed the unusual visit from corporate. No one knew exactly what had happened in that meeting, but everyone sensed that something big was about to change. Little did Lily know just how significant that change would be, or how dramatically her life was about to transform by this time tomorrow. The rest of Lily's shift passed in a blur of coffee refills and forced smiles. The tension between her and Dale was so thick that even the customers noticed. Several regulars asked if she was okay, their concerned faces making it harder for her to maintain her cheerful facade. Something's off with you today, said Frank, an elderly man who came in every afternoon for coffee and pie. Did someone upset my favorite waitress? Lily managed a genuine smile at his protective tone. Just some workplace drama, Frank, nothing to worry about. Well, if anyone gives you trouble, you tell me, he said, puffing up his chest despite his 80 years. I've been coming here since before that manager was born. By the time her shift ended, Lily was exhausted. The uncertainty of what tomorrow's meeting would bring weighed heavily on her mind. As she hung up her apron, Tina approached, eyes wide with curiosity. So, what happened in that meeting? Everyone's talking about it, Lily sighed. Honestly, I'm not sure. That woman from yesterday, the one who could barely afford coffee, turns out she's some big executive from corporate. She was undercover checking how we treat customers. Tina's jaw dropped. No way, like that TV show? Exactly like that, Lily nodded. She wants to meet with me tomorrow morning. I have no idea what for. Maybe you're getting a promotion, Tina suggested excitedly. Lily shook her head. I doubt it. More likely she wants to ask more questions about how Dale's running things. She glanced toward the office, where Dale had been holed up most of the afternoon, emerging only to scrutinize the staff with a critical eye. Well, whatever it is, you deserve something good, Tina said, giving her a quick hug. You're the only reason half our regulars still come in. On her walk home, Lily couldn't help but worry. Jobs weren't easy to come by in their small town. If things went badly tomorrow, she might find herself unemployed. The thought made her stomach twist with anxiety. Her rent was due next week and her savings wouldn't last long. She was so lost in thought that she almost walked right past Mrs. Gonzalez, who was cutting roses in her front yard. Lily, I was hoping to catch you, the older woman called out, waving her garden shears. I saved these for you, just as I promised. She handed Lily a small bouquet of deep red roses, their sweet scent immediately lifting her spirits. They're beautiful. Mrs. Gonzalez, thank you. You look troubled. Dear, Mrs. Gonzalez observed, her weathered face creasing with concern. Is everything all right? Lily considered brushing it off but found herself spilling the whole story. The undercover boss, the tense meeting, tomorrow's uncertainty. It felt good to voice her fears out loud. Mrs. Gonzalez listened patiently, nodding at intervals. When Lily finished, the older woman smiled knowingly. You know, my husband owned his own business for 40 years before he passed. He always said the best leaders were the ones who cared more about people than profits. Sounds to me like this executive woman sees that quality in you. I'm just a waitress, Lily said with a shrug. Mrs. Gonzalez clicked her tongue. There's no such thing as just anything. Every job has value when it's done with heart. Remember that tomorrow, whatever happens. That night, Lily barely slept. She tossed and turned, playing out different scenarios in her mind. Would she be fired for breaking the rules? Praised for helping someone in need? Something in between? By the time her alarm went off, she had already been awake for an hour, staring at the ceiling. She dressed carefully in her nicest blouse and pants, not quite business attire, but the best she could manage. The roses from Mrs. Gonzalez sat in a vase on her kitchen table, a reminder to keep her chin up. The diner looked different in the early morning quiet before it opened for business. Normally, Lily would enter through the back door with the other staff, but today she approached the front entrance, feeling strangely like a visitor at her own workplace. Through the window, she could see Violet sitting at a booth, papers spread out before her, a steaming cup of coffee at her elbow. No sign of Dale. Taking a deep breath, Lily pushed open the door, the familiar jingle of the bell announcing her arrival. Right on time. Violet smiled, gesturing to the seat across from her. Coffee? Please. Lily nodded, settling into the booth and trying to calm her nerves. Violet poured her a cup from the carafe on the table. I hope you don't mind meeting before opening. I wanted to speak privately. It's fine, Lily said, wrapping her hands around the warm mug, though I admit I'm confused about why I'm here. Understandable, Violet nodded. She shuffled through some papers, then looked directly at Lily. Let me be straightforward. After yesterday's observations and reviewing the location's performance data, I've made some decisions about Golden Sunrise's future. Here it comes, Lily thought, bracing herself for bad news. Dale has been relieved of his management duties. Effective immediately. Lily nearly choked on her coffee. What? His approach wasn't aligned with our company's core values, Violet explained calmly. The numbers might look good on paper for a quarter or two, but his management style was destroying the very thing that makes this location special, its connection to the community. Lily sat in stunned silence. She had expected many outcomes, but Dale's firing wasn't one of them. We need someone who understands this diner's place in the community, Violet continued. Someone who values people over protocols but can still run a successful business. She slid a folder across the table. That's why I'd like to offer you the position of location supervisor. Lily stared at the folder, then at Violet, certain she had misheard. You want me to be the manager? But I don't have any management experience. You have 5 years of experience in this diner. You know the customers, the staff, and the community. Those things can't be taught in a business course, Violet said. The technical aspects, inventory, scheduling, accounting, those we can train you on. Lily's mind raced. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to ordinary people like her. Why me? She asked, still disbelieving. Violet's expression softened. Because of a muffin. A muffin? You saw someone in need, a stranger who couldn't afford more than coffee, and you showed kindness. Not because it would benefit you, not because anyone was watching, but because it was the right thing to do. Violet leaned forward. That's the kind of leadership we need. Someone who makes decisions based on both head and heart. Lily opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside was an employment contract offering a salary that made her eyes widen, along with benefits she'd never had before. Health insurance, paid vacation, a retirement plan. This is a lot to take in, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I understand. Violet nodded. You don't have to decide right now. Take the day to think it over. But even as she said it, Lily knew what her answer would be. The possibility of making Golden Sunrise the warm, welcoming place it used to be. While earning enough to build a more secure future, it was everything she could have hoped for. I don't need a day, she said, surprising herself with the confidence in her voice. I want to do it. I want to show that a diner can be successful while still treating people with kindness. Violet's face broke into a wide smile. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. For the next hour, they discussed the transition plan. Violet would stay for a week to help Lily learn the management systems. They would bring back some of the old menu favorites while keeping the best of the new offerings. Most importantly, Lily would have the freedom to recreate the community atmosphere that had made Golden Sunrise special. As they talked, the first rays of morning sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a golden glow across the empty diner. It felt like a sign, a new dawn for both Lily and Golden Sunrise. There's just one more thing, Violet said as they wrapped up their meeting. Dale doesn't know he's been let go yet. He'll be arriving soon for what he thinks is a performance review. I thought you might want to be present for that conversation, as the incoming supervisor. Lily swallowed hard. She had never been good with confrontation, and the thought of facing Dale made her stomach knot with anxiety. But if she was going to be a supervisor, she would need to handle uncomfortable situations head-on. Yes, she said, squaring her shoulders. I should be there. As if on cue, the back door opened and Dale walked in, his face darkening when he spotted Lily sitting with Violet. The moment of truth had arrived and nothing would ever be the same again. Dale stopped short when he saw Lily sitting with Violet. His eyes darted between them, trying to read the situation. He straightened his tie and forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Good morning, Ms. Chen. I didn't realize Lily would be joining our performance review. His voice was tight, controlled. Please have a seat, Violet said, gesturing to the empty chair. This isn't exactly a performance review. It's more of a discussion about the future direction of Golden Sunrise. Dale sat down stiffly, placing his leather portfolio on the table. I've prepared some projections for the next quarter. Our cost-cutting measures have been quite effective. Violet nodded politely but made no move to look at his portfolio. Dale, I want to be direct with you. I've spent the last 24 hours reviewing this location's performance, speaking with staff, and observing operations firsthand. And I'm sure you've seen the improvements I've implemented, Dale said confidently. Profits are up. While customer satisfaction is down, Violet finished for him, and staff turnover has increased by 40% since you took over management. Dale's smile faltered. Change is always difficult. The old guard resists new methods. Lily sat quietly, watching the exchange. She could see the moment Dale realized things weren't going his way. His shoulders tensed and a muscle in his jaw twitched. The methods aren't the issue, Violet said. It's the philosophy behind them. Sunrise Restaurants was built on the idea that good food and genuine human connection go hand in hand. What I've observed here is a systematic dismantling of that connection in favor of short-term profits. With all due respect, Ms. Chen, Dale countered, his voice hardening. Corporate sent me here to improve this location's performance. Every change I've made follows company guidelines. Guidelines are meant to be adapted to individual locations, not applied like a hammer, Violet replied. This diner has been a community landmark for decades. You've been treating it like a fast food chain. Dale's eyes flicked to Lily, narrowing slightly. I see. And I suppose she's been filling your head with nostalgic nonsense about the good old days before we modernized. Actually, Violet said, Lily hasn't said a negative word about your management. Her actions, however, spoke volumes. While you've been focused on enforcing rules, she's been preserving the heart of what makes this place special. The tension around the table was palpable. Lily could almost see Dale connecting the dots, realizing that the woman he'd dismissed as just a waitress had somehow outmaneuvered him. "So what exactly are you saying?" Dale asked, his voice now dangerously calm. Violet slid a document across the table. "I'm offering you a transfer to our corporate training department. Your attention to detail and knowledge of company policies would be valuable there, but you'll no longer be managing this location." Dale stared at the paper, his face flushing red. "You're removing me as manager? Because I followed the guidelines too well? Because you followed the letter of the guidelines while missing their spirit entirely," Violet corrected gently. "This isn't a punishment, Dale. It's a redirection to a role better suited to your strengths." For a long moment, Dale said nothing. Then he looked directly at Lily, his eyes cold. "And I suppose you'll be taking my place? The waitress who gives away food and ignores protocols?" Before Lily could respond, Violet cut in. "Lily has demonstrated the kind of leadership this location needs. Someone who understands both the business and the community it serves." Dale let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "This is ridiculous. She has no management experience, no business training. She'll run this place into the ground within a month." "I think you underestimate her," Violet said calmly, "and you overestimate the value of credentials compared to character." Dale stood abruptly, gathering his portfolio. "Fine. If this company wants to throw away years of business education in favor of some hometown hero fantasy, that's your mistake to make." He turned to Lily. "Good luck. You'll need it." With that, he strode toward the office, presumably to gather his things. The door slammed behind him, the sound echoing through the empty diner. Lily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "That went about as well as could be expected, I guess," Violet smiled wryly. "In my experience, people with fragile egos rarely take redirection well. He'll cool down eventually and probably take the transfer. It's a good position, even if it's not what he wanted." "And if he doesn't?" Lily asked. "Then he'll find employment elsewhere. Either way, Golden Sunrise is moving in a new direction." Violet checked her watch. "Speaking of which, the staff will start arriving soon. Are you ready to meet them as their new supervisor?" The reality of her new position hit Lily all at once. Yesterday, she had been taking orders and refilling coffee cups. Today, she would be giving instructions and making decisions that affected everyone who worked here. The thought was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. "I think so," she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "It's okay to be nervous," Violet assured her. "Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions and listening to the people around you." As if on cue, the back door opened again and Cook Joe walked in, followed by Tina and the morning busboy, Rick. They stopped in their tracks when they saw Lily and Violet sitting together. "Morning," Joe said cautiously, his eyes scanning the room. "Everything okay out here?" "Dale just stormed past us like a thundercloud." Violet stood up. "Actually, I'd like everyone to gather around for a moment. There are some changes happening that you should know about." The staff exchanged glances but moved closer, forming a loose circle around the booth. Violet gestured for Lily to stand beside her. "For those who haven't met me, I'm Violet Chen, Executive Vice President of Operations for Sunrise Restaurants. I've been evaluating this location over the past day, and I've made some decisions about its future management." She placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Effective immediately, Lily will be taking over as location supervisor." The reaction was immediate. Tina let out a small squeal of delight. Joe's weathered face broke into a broad grin. Rick, the youngest staff member, looked confused but pleased. "For real?" Tina asked, bouncing on her toes. "Lily's our boss now?" "I prefer supervisor," Lily said, feeling her cheeks warm. "And yes, it's for real." "What about Dale?" Joe asked, always the practical one. "He's been offered a position at corporate," Violet explained smoothly. "He's considering his options." The kitchen door swung open again and Dale emerged carrying a box of his personal items. He walked past the group without a word, his back rigid with wounded pride. The front door jingled as he left. An awkward silence fell over the group. "Well," Joe said finally, "I guess some congratulations are in order." He stepped forward and gave Lily's shoulder a gentle squeeze. "Couldn't have happened to a better person." Thanks, Joe, Lily said, feeling a lump form in her throat. These people weren't just co-workers. They were family. So, boss lady, Tina grinned, what's our first order of business? Before Lily could answer, the front door opened again. The first customers of the day, the Sunrise Club, right on schedule for their morning coffee and chess games. I think, Lily said with growing confidence, our first order of business is doing what we do best, making people feel at home. She turned to the kitchen. Joe, how would you feel about bringing back your famous blueberry pancake special? The one Mr. Rivera used to advertise as a little taste of heaven? Joe's face lit up. You serious? Dale said it took too long to prepare. I'm serious, Lily nodded. And Rick? Could you move those tables together for the Sunrise Club? They always prefer sitting as a group. As the staff sprang into action with renewed energy, Violet watched with approval. You're a natural, she said quietly to Lily. I'm just doing what feels right, Lily replied. That's exactly what leadership should be. For the next few hours, Lily moved between her familiar waitressing duties and her new supervisory role. She helped Tina with a complicated order, approved Joe's request to order fresh local berries for his specials, and welcomed the morning regulars, many of whom were delighted to learn of her promotion. By lunchtime, word had spread throughout the small town. People who hadn't visited the diner in months came by to congratulate Lily and see what changes were happening. The place buzzed with an energy it hadn't felt since before the corporate takeover. As the lunch rush wound down, Violet pulled Lily aside. I need to head back to headquarters this afternoon. Are you feeling comfortable taking the reins? Lily looked around at the bustling diner, at Joe singing to himself in the kitchen, at Tina chatting warmly with customers, at the tables full of people enjoying their meals without rushing. Something that had been missing had returned to Golden Sunrise. A sense of belonging. I think we're going to be just fine, she said, and for the first time that day, she truly believed it. What she didn't know was that the biggest challenge of her new role was about to walk through the door. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows of Golden Sunrise, casting long shadows across the diner floor. Lily was in the middle of showing Tina the new scheduling system Violet had set up when the front door opened. A tall man in an expensive suit walked in, followed by two equally well-dressed individuals carrying tablets. The trio looked completely out of place among the casual lunch crowd. Can I help you? Lily asked, approaching them with a welcoming smile despite her curiosity. The tall man surveyed the diner with sharp eyes before settling, his gaze on Lily. I'm looking for Violet. Chen, I was told I could find her. Here. Something about his tone made Lily's smile falter slightly. Ms. Chen just stepped out to take a call. She should be back shortly. Would you like to wait? I can get you some coffee. That won't be necessary, the man said. He extended his hand. Thomas Reynolds, Chief Financial Officer of Sunrise Restaurants. Lily's heart skipped a beat. Another executive? She shook his hand, trying to maintain her composure. Lily Parker. I'm the new location supervisor. Yes, I've heard, Thomas said, his expression unreadable. That was a rather unconventional decision on Violet's part. Before Lily could respond, Violet walked back in, her phone still in hand. She stopped short when she saw the visitors, her professional smile tightening almost imperceptibly. Thomas, I wasn't expecting you. Clearly, he replied. When I heard you'd removed a qualified manager and replaced him with a waitress, I thought it prudent to see for myself what was happening here. The diner had grown oddly quiet. Lily was aware that every customer and staff member was watching the exchange with undisguised interest. Perhaps we should continue this conversation in the office, Violet suggested, maintaining her composure. Thomas nodded curtly. Bring your new supervisor. As well, this concerns her directly. The walk to the small office felt like the longest of Lily's life. Her newfound confidence was rapidly evaporating under Thomas's critical gaze. Had Violet's decision already been overruled? Was she about to lose her new position before she'd even had a chance to prove herself? Once the door closed behind them, Thomas wasted no time. Violet, the board is concerned about your decision-making here. You've replaced a business school graduate with 5 years of management experience with a waitress who has no formal training whatsoever. A waitress who increased customer traffic by 30% in just 4 hours. Violet countered calmly. Check the morning numbers if you don't believe me. Thomas barely glanced at the tablet one of his associates held out. One good morning doesn't prove anything. This location needs consistent by-the-book management to remain profitable. By-the-book management was killing this location, Violet argued. The numbers looked good on paper, but customer loyalty was plummeting. Another 6 months under that style of leadership, and we'd have been closing the doors. Lily stood silently, feeling like a piece of furniture being discussed by interior decorators. Her future hung in the balance, yet neither of them was asking for her input. Thomas turned to her suddenly. "No offense to you personally, Ms. Parker. I'm sure you're very good at what you do. But running a restaurant requires specific skills: accounting, inventory management, personnel oversight. What experience do you have with any of that?" Finding her voice, Lily straightened her shoulders. "I've helped with inventory every month for the past 5 years. I've trained 6 new waitstaff, and I kept track of the books for my mother's home business before she passed away." She took a breath. "But you're right, I don't have a business degree. What I do have is 5 years of watching what works and what doesn't in this specific location." Thomas raised an eyebrow, seemingly surprised by her direct response. "Furthermore," Lily continued, drawing courage from somewhere deep inside, "I was here when Mr. Rivera owned this place, when it was the busiest diner in town. I saw what changed when corporate took over. Some changes were good, some weren't. I believe I can find the right balance. A balance that includes giving away free food." Thomas asked pointedly, "So he knew about the muffin?" Lily felt her cheeks warm but held her ground. "A balance that includes recognizing when a small investment in human kindness yields a bigger return in customer loyalty." "Poetic," Thomas said dryly, "but difficult to quantify on a quarterly report." Violet stepped forward. "Actually, we can quantify it. Study after study shows that companies with high humanity quotients outperform their competitors in long-term profitability. It's why our founder insisted on the motto, 'Good food served with heart.'" Thomas sighed heavily. "Violet, I understand your attachment to the company's founding principles, but times have changed. We have shareholders to answer to now, and we answer to them by building sustainable growth, not just quick profits," Violet insisted. She pulled out her tablet and handed it to Thomas. "Look at the customer feedback from this morning. Look at the increase in average check size, not because of upselling, but because people are ordering more food, staying longer, enjoying their experience." Thomas reluctantly reviewed the data, his frown deepening as he scrolled. "These are promising initial results," he admitted grudgingly. "But one good day doesn't make a trend. Which is why I'm proposing a 3-month trial," Violet said. "Let Lily run this location her way. If the numbers don't improve after 3 months, you can bring in any manager you want." The office fell silent as Thomas considered the proposal. Lily held her breath, her future hanging on his decision. 2 months, he countered finally. "And I want weekly reports. Detailed ones." "Done," Violet agreed quickly, before he could change his mind. Thomas turned his attention back to Lily. "I hope you understand the position you're in, Ms. Parker. A lot of people at corporate think this is a mistake. You'll need to prove them wrong." "I understand," Lily nodded, trying to project more confidence than she felt. "And I will," Thomas gave a curt nod. "We'll see." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "One more thing. Dale Fletcher has refused the transfer to corporate. He's taken a position with our competitor across town. Just thought you should know." With that bombshell delivered, he and his associates departed, leaving Lily and Violet alone in the sudden silence. "Well," Violet said after a moment, "that could have gone worse." Lily let out a shaky laugh. "Is it always like this in corporate? People swooping in to question your decisions?" "Pretty much," Violet smiled wryly. "The higher you climb, the more people question your every move." She placed a reassuring hand on Lily's shoulder. "But don't worry. Thomas is tough but fair. If you deliver results, he'll back off." "And Dale working for the competition?" Lily asked, the implication sinking in. "That complicates things," Violet admitted. "He knows our systems, our recipes, our pricing strategies, and he'll have something to prove." Lily nodded slowly, the challenge before her growing clearer. This wasn't just about running a diner anymore. This was about proving that her approach, one based on humanity and connection, could outperform the cold, by the numbers style that Dale represented. "I should get back out there," she said, gesturing toward the main floor. "The lunch rush isn't over yet," Violet smiled approvingly. "That's the spirit. One meal at a time." The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of activity. Lily split her time between serving customers and learning the management systems. The staff rallied around her, offering help and suggestions, their energy infectious. By closing time, she was exhausted but exhilarated. As she locked the front door, the last rays of sunset gleaming on the windows, she noticed a figure watching from across the street. Even in the fading light, she recognized Dale's silhouette. He stood there for a moment as if making sure she saw him, then walked away. The message was clear. The competition had begun. 1 month later, Golden Sunrise was thriving beyond anyone's expectations. Lily had brought back local favorites to the menu, while keeping the best of the corporate offerings. She had reinstated community events, game nights, local artist showcases, and a weekly storytelling hour for children. The regulars returned in droves, bringing friends and family with them. Dale, meanwhile, had implemented an aggressive strategy at the competing diner, slashing prices, offering coupons, even hiring away one of their waitstaff with promises of better pay. But what he couldn't replicate was the sense of belonging that Lily had cultivated at Golden Sunrise. As promised, Thomas Reynolds returned after 2 months, this time with a larger entourage of corporate executives. They sat in a corner booth observing operations and reviewing the numbers on their tablets. Lily went about her day, nervous but confident in what they would see. When the lunch rush ended, Thomas approached her, his expression as unreadable as ever. "Miss Parker, could we have a word?" Heart pounding, Lily followed him to the office where Violet was waiting. The moment the door closed, Thomas's stern expression broke into a smile, the first she'd seen from him. "Congratulations. Miss Parker, you've proven me wrong and I've never been happier about it." Violet beamed. "The numbers are exceptional, Lily. Customer retention up 45%, profits up 22%, staff turnover down to almost 0. You've made Golden Sunrise the most improved location in our entire chain. And not just in numbers," Thomas added, surprising her. "The customer feedback has been outstanding. You've created something special here. Exactly what our founder envisioned when he opened the first Sunrise restaurant 50 years ago." Relief and pride washed over Lily in equal measure. "Thank you, but I can't take all the credit. The staff here is amazing. They just needed the freedom to care about their work again." "A good leader recognizes the strengths in their team," Violet nodded approvingly. "Speaking of which, we'd like to offer you a permanent position as manager, with a raise and expanded benefits, and," Thomas added, "we'd like you to help develop a training program for other locations. Your approach here could transform our entire company." As Lily accepted their offer, she thought about how much her life had changed in just 2 months, from a waitress struggling to make ends meet to a manager helping shape company policy, all because she had followed her instinct to help someone in need. Later that evening, as she locked up the diner, she noticed Mrs. Gonzalez waiting outside with a fresh bouquet of roses. "I heard the good news," the older woman said, handing her the flowers. "The whole town is talking about our Lily, the waitress who showed those corporate types a thing or two about running a business with heart." Lily smiled, inhaling the sweet scent of the roses. "You know what my mom used to say? Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Smart woman, your mother?" Mrs. Gonzalez nodded. "She'd be mighty proud of you today." As they walked home together, the lights of Golden Sunrise Diner glowed warmly behind them, a beacon of welcome in the gathering dusk, promising good food served with heart for many years to come.